show is meant for mature audiences only. All opinions expressed within this radio show are not always that of the URN Radio Network or Debunker Boys. Once again, your hosts, Andrew Helton, Brian Gazzardo, and Robert Cornell. The Debunker Boys are back at it again.
Hello, you are on with the Debunker Boys once again, doing again this week. This week we have a little more interesting topic. We're talking about politics, and we have one of the most unique and interesting characters in the political world on with us. We have the one, the only Vermin Love Supreme. How you doing, sir?
Yes. I'm doing very, very fine. Thank you very much for asking, and yourself.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. I've been doing a lot of research on you, watching all the videos I can. I gotta say, sir, at first I didn't get it at first when I first came across the man with the boot on his head. But the more I dug,
that would be me. Yes.
The more I dove into it, the more I realized what was going on and how much this was needed in the political world, and more specifically the presidential campaign.
Well, thank you, sir. I saw a niche, and I have tried to fill that little niche the best as I can. It's a little crack in the wall, a little chink in the armor, just a little slice that I was able to inadvertently take full advantage of, and by utilizing some very simple and effective tools, I've managed to rise to the top of all the thousands of other people who are running for president, and been able to push forward my agenda. Something as simple as, yes, wearing a rubber boot on one's head, and I've been riding that particular little thing. I mean, it's what could be simpler, and yet it is so very effective in terms of drawing attention and making a statement and letting people know that that something crazy might be said.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Go ahead, Robert. Andrew.
I'm not Robert. Robert isn't with us today.
I'm sorry,
Robert wasn't able.
Yeah.
Give him my regards.
Yeah.
We will. Now the boot. I'm sure a lot of people question you about the boot. It is
a topic. It is an entry topic. Yes, people do want to know about the boot. It's very true. As I mentioned, it's a very simple element. What I like about it, what I tell people, I have the canned response, which is a sort of a throwaway line, which I will say the boot stands for all that is good in America, essentially a non sequitur, which I enjoy non sequiturs. It makes people think. To the media, I have referred to the boot as a pile of shit, and that the media are the flies that buzz around it. But I think the thing about the boot is that it telegraphs the fact that what you might be hearing from this particular person wearing a boot on their head may not be completely in the realm of reality or logic. And I think the thing that I like most about it is you could take a photograph of myself with the boot on my head, or anybody with a boot on their head for that matter, but in any crowd, in any situation, and if you show that photograph to a child and ask that child, what is wrong with this photograph? The child would certainly point and say, that man has a boot on his head.
So it is truly your signature.
It has become that, yes. I've been wearing it pretty much since 1991 is when I first discovered that if I wore a boot on my head, people reacted in a very positive fashion. I primarily wore it only during the New Hampshire primaries for many years. But, of course, in 2012, when I became a meme, if you will, it became part of me. So I at the conventions, say, or at other protests or other things, I would back in the day have worn different headwear. But these days it's strictly the boot because people automatically recognize me with the boot. It's a very nice level of celebrity, unquote, if you will, because if I have the boot on my head, I can appear in almost any city or certainly any college campus, and people will know me. People will come up and start talking to me. They will be excited to meet me on the streets in real life. But if I don't wear the boot, nobody knows me, and I can be completely anonymous and invisible, and that's a very nice part of it, I think.
I'd say it very well is a very good staple. So you're obviously very noticeable when you have it. So
yes.
And just so everyone knows, you are legitimately running a campaign for presidency, correct?
Oh yes. Yeah. It is not just an internet stunt by any means. Yeah. It's not just a reason to have Vermin Supreme's dank meme stash on Facebook or selfies with Vermin on Facebook or any of the other groups. No, I consider it legitimate, as legitimate as anything. I was on the ballot in New Hampshire during the primary. I came in fourth, which is pretty respectable. Next week, I'm on my way to the Libertarian Party National Convention in Orlando, Florida. And I am actively seeking the Libertarian nomination for president. I have been polling very well in the state conventions where I have been included in the straw polls. In Utah, I came in fourth in their straw poll. And in the California State Convention, I came in third. So I do have a whole lot of love in the libertarian community, it seems. I don't know if that will translate into me becoming the nominee, but we shall see. And if nothing else, I plan on meeting a whole lot of people and making a whole lot of new friends. Hopefully, I get some...
Whether or not you do, become president of the United States or get the nomination, I do believe you have, I want to say, changed the face of politics almost indefinitely. I feel like there were a number of individuals that ran. Once Donald Trump said he was running for president, you had Kanye West, you had other political figures that said they were going to run for president, but then you had an individual who actually legally changed his name to D's Nuts to run, and he,
I didn't know he changed his name.
Oh,
but yeah, okay, cool.
Yes, yeah, he legally changed his name to D's Nuts to run, and so he could say D's Nuts is running for president.
Amen to that. My esteemed and worthy opponent. I look forward to the debates.
Yeah.
No. Back in it was 2012, I believe it was, when you glitter bombed during a glitter bombed the delegates, correct?
My esteemed opponent, Terry Randall. Yes. He was one of the founders of Operation Rescue, a rather virulent homophobe and anti-abortophobe.
Your response was, "You are now gay." I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, it was at the height or at the beginning of the glitter bomb craze. In fact, I was not really aware until the very evening before what it was that I was exactly going to do for him. I knew I wanted to be special, but it flashed in my mind the night before. Oh, wait a minute! didn't somebody throw glitter at Newt Gingrich the other day? And sure enough, and so I packed my pockets full of the glitter, and I knew Randall from the convention in Boston. At that convention, I wasn't wearing the boot. I was wearing this sort of backwards devil mask. So I had this backwards-facing devil mask thing. And I was doing my shtick and routine that I do at checkpoints in lines, where I would tell the people waiting in line to be ready with their dental records for immediate inspections, and please remove your shoes for security, and please be prepared for your full-body cavity rectal search by the TSA. Remember, it includes a prostate exam. It's part of Obamacare, and just all of these absurd things. But sometimes I get compliance, and it's a good time for all. But Mr. Terry saw that, and he came up to me and was just sort of checking me out because I was looking like a pretty wacky character, and we knew who he was immediately. My wife was with me at the moment, and she started hissing at him, literally, because she hated him so much. And in my mind, I knew that I hated him. It's like, boy, I have such distaste for this guy. But I found myself being drawn into his charisma sphere as he was being drawn into mine. It was a magical moment. It was a moment of cognitive dissonance. It was a moment of me knowing that I really despised this man and everything he stood for, but also knowing that, gee, I really like this guy. He seems really nice. And I think it was the possible of a budding bromance, and I'm fairly sure he wanted to perform fellatio on me. So it was really a magical moment, and so it was quite some time later. I guess it was probably 8 years later when I ran into him, and he was running as a Democrat that year, which is unusual because his platform is certainly not Democratic Party material, and alphabetically we were right next to one another, so that was most fortuitous. But he rolled up, and he was wearing this full-length bear coat, I think, and so I went and chatted him up and, put him at ease. And a thing about the debates that you should know is that right before all the candidates go on stage, everybody goes to the restroom because you don't want to be on the debate stage with a full bladder. And so en masse, all the various candidates who were on stage that night went to use the restroom, and it was there that I offered to perform some gay homosexual sex acts with Randall Terry in that stall.
Oh my God.
And he politely declined. And yes, and on the stage, I pretty much glared at him throughout the debate. And if you watch the long form of the video, I'm sort of mimicking him and making his hand gestures and leaning in really close when he's giving his answers to try and be in the same frame. And he was not really digging being, in this position, being next to the crazy boot-headed guy. You can sort of see that in several of the photographs. And then at the tail end of the debates, we had our 2 minutes closing statements, and I played the chicken dance and sang my name is Vermin jingle theme song. And up to that moment, I wasn't really even sure how it was I was going to introduce this the next act, but it occurred to me that Jesus told me to make Randall Terry gay, and boom, and so I did, and dumped a bunch of glitter on his head, and he was a very good sport about it. I mean, he really didn't have too many options, I'm afraid. He could have stood up and boogied, or he could have stood up and swung, or he just had very few options, and I think he took the smartest one. He sort of took it like a man, and took it like a gay man, I guess. And he did write an interesting blog piece where he claimed that the glitter bombing did not affect his sexuality. So I speculate that he may have been gay to begin with. It's hard to say. But he did disown his gay son, which was very sad and caused much pain in his family. And he is a little bit of an extremist. I mean, he was not too far removed from abortion clinic bombing conspiracy folks, and he even at one point hurled a human fetus at a demonstration to make a point. So,
oh my God.
But on the other hand, I sort of like him. And later on in the election season in 2012, the Democratic convention was in Charlotte, and I had called him up. I wanted to give him the opportunity to have a sequel. In fact, a little bit of a sequel where we would have more of a control over the virality of the video, perhaps. And so my theory was, or the scenario was going to be, even though we have deep differences on many topics, one of the things that we do agree on was the legalization of marijuana. And so I felt that we could give a press conference together and say, well, me and Randall, yeah, we have our differences, sure, but we do agree on one thing, and that would be that. And I was going to give him the opportunity to pie me. I was going to give him the opportunity to throw a pie smack dab in my face, and that was going to be his revenge, and that was going to be the punchline. And I gave him the option that I could pie him back, or we could turn it into a big pie fight, or anything. I was totally willing to work with him. And he did respond. I just sort of reached out over Facebook, and he did respond that he thanked me and said that he needed a laugh that day. So, but that's as far as that went. But you know me, I'm a uniter, not a divider, always trying to reach out across the aisle and work with my esteemed opponents while I own them. Sure, it's only right and fair, I think.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm sure
you claim to be a fascist. Do you want to kind of enlighten us on that? Because you say you're a friendly fascist. You know what the people need.
Well,
what exactly do you mean by that?
I think it's pretty clear, don't you? I mean, I don't. In real life, I'm not really a fascist. It's just it's a catchy little tagline that Are you familiar with
It seems like you have this all planned out. Like everything seems to be sporadic. It seems to be spontaneous, but it seems to have an underlying, sort of a really, really planned out, really, really thought out. Like you've put a lot of effort into this, and
it's true. But it's some of the key issues. I mean, I've been plugging away at for years. And they've, like the toothbrushing rant, for example. I mean, I first brought that as a concept back in '87 when I ran for mayor of Baltimore, Maryland. In 1996, I was actually passing out the text in a pamphlet form at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in 1996. It wasn't until 2012 when when I was able to get it out in public in the format on C-SPAN, where it was finally seen by so many people. And so, I mean, some of this material I've been plugging along with on for many years. It's been evolving and expanding. The pony concept, the pony-based economy, essentially started out as just a chant at a demonstration in 2004 maybe, and what do you want? What do we want? And I would just try and get the people to yell out ponies. And when do we want them? And it was that simple, where I was just trying to subvert a chant at a protest, but then it became more, and now it's become this whole. It's a novella. I've recently written a full novella about the pony-based economy of the future, Blueprint for New America. It'll be launching sometime in July. So yeah, it definitely happens in real life, and but also obviously a lot of it is fan fiction. A lot of the memes are all wild stuff. I mean. I don't have to lift a finger. It's amazing to have so many people dedicated to putting forth the idea and the images of my campaign. It's a beautiful thing. I get a whole lot of love and not a lot of hate, and that's an amazing thing to me in this day and age.
Well, how do you hate someone like you? I mean, you put forth such extravagant claims, extravagant, promises out there and stuff, extravagant plans, and they're to be taken seriously but lightly. It's kind of that give and take sort of thing, and it's really hard to. Some people look at you and they go, oh, that guy's just crazy. But like I said, the more you dab into it, the more you realize this guy knows exactly what he's doing. And that's why as soon as I found out about you, we had to have you on our show, because what we've been doing with this Debunker Boys show is we've essentially become trolls in the paranormal community. We set out to... like these people come up with these extravagant claims, as involving life after death and stuff like that, and we set out to expose it and do it in kind of a comedic way and stuff.
You know what would really get their ghost? If you just start singing.
What's that?
Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendly ghost, I bet that would really irk them.
From day one we've been hated by the paranormal. We got that love-hate relationship as well, where we just, people hate us, but they, I don't know how many times people say, there needs to be more people like you, just like in the political world, there needs to be a Vermin Supreme.
Indeed. Indeed. The world needs more iconoclasts,
Yeah.
I mean, especially when people make such ridiculous claims about the paranormal. I consider myself a rationalist, and although that does allow for me to believe in mathematical quantum physics and fractals, and I'm able to place this framework of, that's how a coincidence might work. But I'm in all those dimensions, all those possible simultaneous dimensions. How do you feel about them?
Well, we do cover that a lot. The whole parallel dimension. We discussed that actually in great length.
Do you believe that might be a rational scientific or quasi-scientific explanation for what other people claim to be ghosty paranormal stuff?
Actually, you know what? Robert's probably, I know he's listening in. He's on his way on vacation to Florida, but nice. I know he's jumping up and down going, I want to talk about this. that is Robert's thing, That's one...
multi-universe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dimensions.
Yeah. I touch on some of those subjects in my new novella launching in July. Blueprint for New America, Love in the Time of Zombies. Yes, there is my frozen head from the future, and then a younger self from an even further future come back, and they meet, and all. It's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. Now, do you have any sort of plans for? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I thought I should plug some stuff, and I'd like to plug.
Yes, plug away.
I'd like to plug the movie, the documentary, Who is Vermin Supreme? An Outsider's Odyssey. It is a documentary. It is available on Vimeo. Videographer Steve Derrick followed me for election year 2012. We met at the NATO summit, and he followed me all around the country during my campaign tour, which included the Rainbow Gathering in Tennessee. It included the conventions. It was an amazing document of that whole election year, and he turned it into quite a film. And so it's on Vimeo, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody who really wants to see a lot of me. I gave the man total access, and I gave him hours and hours of archival VHS tapes, and he made a very powerful document, I think.
Awesome. Do you have? I mean, you seem like the kind of character that would be great in film. Do you have any plans to do any sort of acting or anything?
I made 2008 election cycle, in addition to running for president as myself, Vermin Supreme, I also ran a campaign as an undercover right-wing fundamentalist anti-sodomite candidate named Ken Stevenson. And we attended many fun fundamentalist events. We went to a teen abstinence rally at the Philly Spectrum Center. We went to the grand opening of the Creationist Museum in Kentucky with all the robot dinosaurs. We attended atheist conferences. We just went to all these amazing things and made this wonderful film. It's called Vote Jesus, and it will be available on Vimeo in the near future. Now, occasionally, the thing that is notable, I think, is that I am not a content producer. I do not make content for the internet or for anything, but I appear in content. I am the subject of content that people make. For example, and I love collaborating, and I'm very open to collaborations. When people ask me if I want to do this or that or the other thing, I'm pretty much about, yeah, let's do it. And if they have the wherewithal and follow through, we make stuff happen. And this is the first media interview that I've done in probably a couple months. I took a little time off after the election, but I feel like I'm back and ready to talk to disembodied people out on the internet.
Yeah. Well, we're
awesome.
very honored to have you.
Definitely.
Hey, Ryan, Robert just messaged me. He said he's in a queue. If you look at the council.
All right, we have our third debunker boy on. He is eager to talk with you, Mr. Supreme.
Oh, okay, very good, Robert. Yes, you are the believer in science.
Yes. Supreme
Parallel
Overlord.
universe guy.
Yes, I am. Yeah, when you were talking about, I do believe that when people see spirits, that it's actually a glimpse of another dimension where maybe that person didn't pass. And, I mean, obviously we're in the same spot.
Oh, more like a feedback loop, sort of a feedback loop, an echo, if you will.
Well, yeah, we're in a different frequency or vibration, and they're in a different vibration, and why wouldn't we be able to now and then see into that other universe or that other reality, or, that there's millions of infinite universes that touch each other.
Why not, indeed? I like the way you're thinking. I think we're going to tap into that whole time travel thing. In fact, I take solace in the fact that there are many other multiverses where I am, in fact, president. where I have killed Hitler.
And there are yes, and you have killed Hitler. Now, do you think there are some where you rise to supreme overlord?
Absolutely. I believe it's all covered in my upcoming novella called Blueprint for a New America, Love in the Time of Zombies, and that'll be coming out real soon. I'm reaching out. I've got some amazing illustrators lined up, people whose work that I've admired for many years, and they are going to make some artwork for it, and so it's going to be a very special event. Let's see. So I got the book, I got the movie. VerminSupremeStickers.com. VerminSupremeStickers.com. I think that's it. That is a new collaboration that I've taken up with a Virginia-based printing empire, if you will. And that's going to be a new website and quite conceivably a new portal where we are making a little bit of exciting new content, promoting different events and stuff. So that's sort of new and exciting. I'm going out to L.A., California on June 5th. I have a live appearance with Reggie Watts and Rob Patillo at Broken Flowers. It's a venue in L.A. That is super exciting. I've never really appeared in that type of format before. So that's going to be a California primary comedy extravaganza. Looking very much forward to that. That's exciting.
Very.
But,
now, when would you say you actually kind of hit like the really got into the mainstream with the social media and stuff like that, as far as gaining this popularity?
Well,
has that been recent?
It's been a real. I mean, it's been a slow build and a long slog. I mean, I've been working the New Hampshire primary since '92. I started running for president in '87. I ran for mayor of Baltimore, but started dabbling in other things. Started going to the rainbow gatherings. So I have like my base constituency was probably like rainbow gatherers, people who attended the national rainbow gatherings. So they were from all over the country. I started attending national political demonstrations. So I started knowing political radicals and political activists from across the country. So that sort of started to give me a national base. Then when I started running for the presidency up in New Hampshire, I had found, this, once again, this small niche, doing this small thing, but because the New Hampshire primary is the first in the nation primary, and because it happens in such a small state, it has an amazing amount of attention paid to it. So simply by going up there, and I think my first national exposure was on Valentine's Day, '92. I challenged then Iowa Senator Tom Harkin to a dueling chainsaw grudge match to the death in the steel cage of doom, and that was my first photograph that went out on the wire. So that went out to all the newspapers on the AP wire, and had all sorts of different captions given to it, including one of my favorites was Tom Harkin met by a man mocking the primary process. I think that was the phrase they used. And I also got my first little NPR notice. Dave Barry was discussing the singular of Galatia with, I think, one of their reporters. And so I started to develop a fan base in people who follow the presidential cycle, political geeks, the media. I started realizing that the media itself, or people who worked in the media industry, were a very important audience. I knew that they would, document it or see me do things, and it might not make it past the editor, but I knew that in the newsroom they would laugh and stuff, and so I began to get this base of people who knew me. And then I guess I've eventually figured out that the police knew me, and that was pretty fun too. I was at the convention in Boston one year, and this gentleman said, "Oh, Vermin, I got somebody that you should meet," and introduced me to the head of the security police thing that was going on there. It's like, I looked, and he himself was chief inspector of the Civil Disorder Unit out of New York, and so I've developed this sort of professional working relationship, if you will, with authority figures that I have been able to become an unofficial hostage negotiator, if you will, in these intense political protest situations, and I use my bullhorn to try and calm the crowd and keep the police chill, and it's a whole different type of communication strategy, but it's something that I've also been developing over the years. It's a way to try and keep people safe by letting people know, very important safety information, things they should know if they're sprayed with chemicals, or letting them know where the exits are if they're being chased, or where to find the medics if they needed it, and various things like that. And also talking to the police through the bullhorn and reading them information from riot control and crowd control manuals, and things along the nature of crowds, and and how it's better to let them disperse on their own, and so I sort of reinforce my expectations of their acting in a professional manner, and by by rehumanizing the protesters in the police's eyes, and rehumanizing the police in the protesters' eyes, and trying to fill this void that might be filled with other crazy shit. It's just another constituent service that I like to provide. And during this summer, during the conventions, I'm hoping to train up several folks to do this sort of megaphone de-escalation. You're sort of like an MC, or you're a master of ceremonies at a demonstration. You're welcoming the people there. You're trying to keep it light and injecting humor and having fun, but yet trying to avoid these intense situations and spasms of police violence that occur occasionally.
Wow.
Yeah,
you definitely got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you've dwelled deep into the videos, on the Facebook, the YouTube, you've probably seen several of that type of work.
I have. I've actually kind of overloaded myself with all the media that seems to be coming about of you.
Yes.
And it's a lot. Now let's.
Oh, and I have a new YouTube channel, Vermin Supreme 2016. It should be up and running pretty soon.
Okay, so it's not up and running yet.
You can look at it, but I don't think it has anything up there just yet. But it will. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. No.
Let's fast forward. Let's say you do get the candidacy and you become president. As far as your steps, a lot of people want to know, because this is a huge issue. What would you do if you had the capability to do with what you will the central banking system?
Well, naturally, of course. For me, it's all about the transition to a pony-based economy. And once we get to that pony-based economy, I guess we would have a central pony banking thing. And ultimately, I think that would be much, much better for America. Thank you very much. I'm Vermin Supreme, the only candidate openly advocating a transition to a full pony-based economy. Thank you very much. Free ponies.
I'm sure you have a lot of, those My Little Pony fans, bronies. I'm sure you get a lot of.
Back to that question. Yes, it was 2012 when I had the viral breakthrough. It was the glitter bomb that pushed me over the top. There was millions of hits of that video, but then I became a meme, and it was in fact the bronies who I believe were responsible for creating a lot of the meme art that actually made me a meme. So most definitely the bronies have been very, very key supporters. If you have ever seen my hit single, I Am a Meme, have you seen that one?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. Check it out. I Am a Meme by Vermin Supreme. It is a song that I wrote and performed, and we made a video for in 2012 when I actually became a meme, and it's about being a meme. It's very meta, and one of the lines is, I am the bronies queen. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. We were actually talking about that earlier. I said we need to tell you that you need to dedicate a television show or channels to do nothing but play reruns of My Little Pony.
Well, I think they're out there, man. But there was a lot of pony art, and there's like cartoons of me as a pony, and just all sorts of things.
You said you paved a way. You paved the road for Donald Trump's campaign, and.
Well, I do say a lot of things, truth be told.
Yeah, well, and I do believe because Donald Trump does not seem to have the knowledge so to say, or the experience to handle such a monumental task as being president.
Jiminy Cricket,
and
man. Heck no.
What's that?
Heck no. Hell no.
Hell no. So I'm trying to put this as.
Not that I do. Not that I do either. But at least I know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the people who support me, they know it too.
Well, you seem to be the voice of the people rather than the voice of the politicians.
Thank you, sir. I try. I'm the people's candidate, and you are the people, so it just makes sense. Yeah.
Must have something to do with the head where you've got the boot, Trump's got the hair. It's
right. Sure.
Well, Robert wanted to know. Robert had to get off. But Robert wanted to know if you remember a Bob Thompson. He said he knew you or met you during his mayorship right before he died. Yes, that's his grandfather.
Who was his grandfather?
Bob Thompson? Yes.
From where?
Let me try to get this. From where? Sorry, I'm a man. I can't multitask.
No, it's okay. I've met quite a few people over the years, and helps if I know where.
Mayor of Dade County, Florida.
Oh, geez, Dade. Oh, let's see. We spent some time in Cocoa Beach, Florida, in Dade County, back in the late '80s, and let's see. It's quite possible. Bob Thompson, hon? Do you remember Bob Thompson, Dade County Mayor? Yes. No, we were involved in a couple different peace marches on Cape Canaveral at the time, so it's quite possible.
Yeah, he said he stood up for veterans. He was very strong in the movement for veterans.
Right on.
But so how does your wife take all this? How is she obviously backs you very well, and is she kind of have the same charisma as you?
Well, my wife tolerates me very well, I must say. We have been together some 30 years. We still love each other very much. We're still kissy, and she's making all sorts of faces and rude things at me right now. And but she's seen it all before. She doesn't go on a lot of missions with me, if you will. But when she does, it's pretty much when we're out on the streets during demonstration world, and you can often find her schmoozing up the cops. It's one of the strategies that we've developed in these situations is finding we go to meet the highest ranking people that there are, and so so you'll find her schmoozing with them, convincing them not to arrest me. Mainly, that's what she does mainly, and there's a little clip of that in the movie, and it's pretty funny. There's many times where she has just totally saved my ass when I have done some pretty ridiculous things in the street, and I must say that I've been arrested amazingly few times for the ridiculous things and the places that I do them. So there's that. There's this certain invisible shield, or maybe I'm surrounded by white clown light, or there's just something going on there. In fact, at the Chicago No NATO Summit, it was the first time that I had been at such a major demonstration with the boot on my head, and it was pretty interesting to see me go viral with the police line. They would pass the cell phone along just to show them, that's that guy. And it gave me a certain amount of leeway. In fact, I found myself behind various police lines at various times. At various points during various demonstrations, I will call out the commanding officer, and sometimes they come out and talk to me. They think I'm in charge. It's pretty funny.
Do you have any plans of updating your flashy wardrobe, and making it a little more extravagant, or putting maybe something else on that will really stand out, or do you plan on kind of sticking with this for a while?
Well, the boot and the neckties, once again, simple, elegant, effective. In the past, I've worn different things, even different types of boots, but I like to go for comfort also, and the recognition. I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't wear something different. I mean, I'm always in the market for a interesting enough suit jacket, for example, that would make sense.
I could almost see you rocking something MC Hammer wore.
Oh, for sure, you bet. You bet. Some gold lame or tinfoil or shiny things, shiny, some sort of funkadelic stuff. You bet. Sure, all things are possible.
Back in the 80s, remember they used to wear the big gold chains and the big alarm clocks.
Oh yes, Flavor Flav. What time it is? It's about that time for sure.
Yeah, Flavor Flav.
Now, so with you being such an advocate for the mandatory toothbrushing policy, what is your toothpaste of choice?
Government-issued toothpaste containing an addictive yet harmless substance. Of course.
We're talking about currently, because I don't believe such a policy has been set forth yet.
Currently, I switch it up a little bit. There are several different brands that are on our counter. I'm not sure the name brands, but there's a tea tree oil-based one. There is a fennel-based one. I think I have a commercial minty fresh one. Some French, boy, I wish I could remember the name. I think it's called Mud or Magic Mud. It's this amazing black powder that you brush your teeth with. I think it's called Magic Mud. I'm gonna say it's called Magic Mud, and they sent me some product there. There's some anarchist dentifrice makers. Nice people they seem to be. Hello, am I still on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought I might have pushed a button by accident. I'm sorry. But flossing is really the important thing. As they say, don't floss, you're a loss.
Well, there are a lot of people that are advocates for not flossing, say that flossing actually does more harm than good.
Really? I've never heard such a radical departure from orthodoxy. I will have to research that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I've just heard the lack of flossing leads to all sorts of internal disorders, heart disease, and things of that nature. I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that up now. Now you've got me wondering.
Well, it actually causes an erosion of the gum line if not done properly. When you go along the side of the tooth down into the actual gum, it actually can cause another form of gingivitis, and well, I was a medical professional in the Army, so I do a lot of weird research and stuff like that. So
interesting.
But
very good. Well, you must send me the relevant links.
Well, I will try to, sir. Are you an advocate for visiting the dentist twice a year, or do you feel it should be more often?
I'll go with the recommendations of the ADA for the time being. I think that's fairly an adequate guideline to follow. Sure. I'm easy until I get in power, of course, and then all bets are off. But that will be up to Homeland Dental Security, of course. It will be out of my hands.
Yeah.
Yes. And how is the genetic modification for creating the winged monkeys?
I think it's still a long way in the future, but I have high hopes.
Awesome.
Cautiously optimistic.
Now, you seem to have a lot of push and shove. You seem to be able to get the other candidates to say what you seem to want them to say, as far as getting them to say they would go back in time, and it kind of going along with your logic, or
indeed, I've been very lucky. I think Ted Cruz made mention of that in a campaign stop, and he said something to the effect of, I was just outside in Vermin Supreme, asked me some questions. So I answered him. What else could I do?
Yeah.
And I think I put them in a position where they pretty much have a choice whether they can play along and join the Vermin Supreme imaginary land of make-believe for a moment, or not. And there's risks involved sometimes. But if they play along, it could be pretty fun. I've gotten some really interesting responses over the years. I think one of the most curious was when I asked John McCain if he supported mandatory toothbrushing, and he responded that his campaign staff, Lynn, had lots of experience hiding in people's bathrooms late at night to make sure they brush their teeth. He said that. We have it on videotape. It's on the movie. It's on the Vimeo Who is Vermin Supreme movie. It's very disturbing. Another disturbing moment that did not make it on video, sadly, was when Lamar Alexander was running for president, governor of Tennessee at the time, or shortly thereafter, and commentator on Fox after. But he pulled me aside and answered my question. And his answer was, yes, Vermin, I did imprison Elvis Presley for committing heinous acts. And he said that to me. And that was pretty frightening. Of course, my leading question was, Governor Alexander, is it true that you have you have Elvis Presley imprisoned in the dungeon underneath the governor's mansion? And he said yes.
Yeah.
Weird.
Wow. Don't know how to take that.
So do you have any intentions of calling out any of the major front runners at the moment, like Hillary Clinton or Trump or anyone, and getting them to debate with you?
Well, it comes down to access. I mean, you know, the access is really hard at this point. They're definitely surrounded by all sorts of levels of security and what have you. But there may be instances where I can, be within a bullhorn's reach. I did interact briefly with Senator Sanders early in the campaign season, and actually encountered Donald Trump twice, but he was not up for really responding to any of the questions. The encounters weren't really conducive to a real conversation. But there is this one photograph. I think it's right now. It might be my Facebook profile pic of the back of my boot and Mr. Trump giving me a very interesting look, and trying to figure out what was going on with me.
Yeah, well, if it's any consolation, I don't figure any of his conversations would be highly intelligent.
That's true. And also my friend Rod Weber, a.k.a. Flower Man, he's been traveling to almost every Donald Trump event that he can go to for the past year. He's making a documentary about his experiences. It's some pretty wild stuff. He just went down to New Jersey yesterday, but check out some of his videos on the internet too. They're pretty interesting stuff.
Who's that? Flower Man?
Yep. A.k.a. Rod Weber. Also, look up the Overlord Project, Vermin Supreme for Overlord of Planet Earth. That is a whole series of campaign shorts that may be sewn into a movie. Director Warren Lynch has been working on that one. He made the movie called Pony Troubles, which is an amazing movie in and of itself. He actually foresaw the whole brony craze. It's a very prophetic film. You should check it out, Pony Trouble. And so he made this. He created a world where I am trying to get elected overlord of planet Earth against Titus the Unstoppable. And one can never have too many imaginary, fictional, alternative universes going on at any one time, is my belief.
No, I'm definitely gonna have to check those out.
Yeah, that's one of the blessings of my character, because it sort of lends itself to different people's interpretations of it, and I'm just really happy to work with different creative types to flesh out different aspects of whoever Vermin Supreme may be for them.
Your facial expressions say it all in a lot of your photographs and everything. It's just, I mean, your wild charisma is just, it's beyond anything else. You definitely stand out. We actually have one of our listeners wants to know if you, on your platform with the pony, do you plan on implementing a free beer policy with that? I think he wants to know about your platform on free beer along with a pony.
I will tell you this.
I think I said that right.
What in my first electoral foray, 1987, one of my original campaign platforms planks that appeared on my campaign pamphlet was indeed free pizza and beer. So I can say that I have indeed promised free pizza and beer in the past.
Wow. Awesome.
Of course, I'll pretty much promise anybody anything at any time. And maybe, another beautiful thing about my campaign is that I can take opposite positions, and it just really doesn't matter. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's like you said. It's like you said in your kind of. You've quoted, I do not intend to keep any of my promises, and a vote for Vermin Supreme is a vote completely wasted.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful thing that it's resonated with so many people, and that they're just my support base is extremely wide, maybe shallow, but there's just been a steady stream of high school kids who reaching out, want me to interact with their high school. The college kids are reaching out to me. Once again, yes, Pandering for Liberty tour. I'm in the fall. I'm putting together a Pandering for Liberty college speaking tour. If anybody's out there attending college or knows anybody who is or can access student funding, drop me a note, booking.vermin@gmail.com, or go to my website, verminsupreme2016.com. There's a contact button if anybody has any reasons to contact me. It's always interesting to see who reaches out over the Internet. I've had some amazing offers and collaborations and invitations that just came out of the Internet. I was invited up to Montreal to receive an honorific of Grand Rectum by former members of the Rhinoceros Party. That was a very high honor. I was invited to the International Students for Liberty Conference in Washington, D.C. They flew me down there, and they put me up, me and my wife up, and it's just these crazy things come up all the time. I was out in Idaho at the Central Idaho State College, and I was just down at Gettysburg College, and so the campaign continues.
I keep going, keep going. It's now what do you do when you are not campaigning? Do you have a normal blue collar job, or Is this kind of a full-time thing for you?
Well, yes, it's certainly a full-time thing, but it's gotten to a point where ultimately it's not so much out of my pocket. It's almost pays for itself. Through internet fundraising, I was able to pay for bumper stickers, for example, and pay for my getting on the ballot in New Hampshire, for example. My wife and I have organized our life to be as simple as possible and keep our expenses as small as possible, so that we don't have to bust our ass necessarily. We've always lived a pretty low rent existence, if you will. But now we're getting to be a little bit older Americans, so you got to start examining those decisions a little more closely. I might not recommend it to all my friends out there, but that's just the way we chose.
It's yeah. What were you going? Go ahead.
Oh no! You go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh well, we just we are we're. I'm getting a lot of different questions, and I'm trying to sort through the ones that we've already covered and everything.
Okay.
What are your favorite television shows?
Of all times?
Yes.
Boy, that would be a whole world of memories that I'd have to think about. We don't have a television set anymore, and I don't watch so much internet TV. I guess I do hear my wife watching her various shows that I guess include Scandal. I hear that show while I'm doing things, and what else do I hear on her coming over from her side of the room? Jeez, I don't know. Soaps and stuff. And so I'm gonna have to say I don't have TV. Growing up, of course, we all love the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and all those idiot shows that everybody got to watch the second and third time around on Nick at Night or what have you. Loved all the crazy formulaic cop shows of the 70s, the Mannixes, the Cannons, Lost was a good TV show. I don't know. I guess we watched that. That might be the last time we had a TV set. Because they switched over to digital, and so we got a whole lot less channels on our antenna. And we got one of those boxes, but it never really worked properly. And I'll be damned if we're going to pay cable rates. Screw that. But I guess now you can watch it all on your internet machine. But I just too busy Googling myself.
One of our listeners wants to know what sort of hobbies do you have when you have your downtime?
Well, I have a 18-hole mini putt golf course in the woods that I've built. So I like to play putt. You get to hit it between the trees and over the rocks and all the natural hazards, and I've had a few of my own, so I like to do that. Raking. I live in the woods, so sometimes I do a lot of raking when the seasons change. Just maintaining my social media, because I haven't been able to find a social media team to take that mess over yet, so that actually consumes a fair amount of time, I'm afraid. Trying to sort my whole damn campaign. That's sort of a hobby of its own, because there's so many imaginary pokers and imaginary fires. But some of them are real, and some are very interesting, and some are in play. So I try and keep the things moving that are moving along. Like I say, the beauty of my campaign, one of the most beautiful things is just all those people out there, all those talented, creative artists, and making memes and campaign posters and sticker designs and all these things. It's very impressive. Very impressive.
Oh, no, yeah, so definitely I can respect that. We have 3 of us that run this between our full-time jobs, and we fumble around with 3 of us trying to get this thing going. So.
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
it does. It takes a lot of effort. So.
Yeah, I mean, the only time my thing takes effort is when I try and cross it over into the real world.
Do you now a lot of politicians and stuff kind of have their team of individuals that kind of tell them what's okay to say, what's not okay to say, that sort of thing. Do you have anyone that kind of I don't want to say censors you, but kind of preps you a little bit?
Never.
Or
once again, it's the beauty of my campaign is that I can say pretty much any damn thing I want. It just doesn't matter. I think that's one of the major attractions, the lack of fucks given, and the fact that I can switch things on a dime, and because I've had such a expansion of my base, I've had to be open to other ideas. Back in the day, I don't think I would have played with guns, for example. And yet, because I've developed this big libertarian base, and we had the Burning Vermin Festival, and the Bardo Farms, and they had all these beautiful guns, and we went to the shooting range. We had Gun Safety Day, and if you watch the video, Vermin Supreme is gunning for you, or Vermin Supreme for Libertarian presidential nomination, you can see me firing off a bunch of guns, and so that's pretty exciting. And then I did that at the risk of perhaps, if not alienating, at least bugging or asking or creating some questions within my liberal left base of support. So it's pretty interesting that my supporters are very forgiving of my explorations into different imagery.
I just tell those people they have never shot a gun. It is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not as fun as the crazy. Yes.
Do you feel your kind of persistence, in what you're saying, you kind of irritate kind of different groups. Do you feel that gains you more notoriety with them, gains you more fans, so to say, supporters, or do you feel that kind of pushes them away a little more?
I don't know. I think I have a lot of supporters who know pretty damn well what my own personal political leanings are, but ultimately, I maintain that my personal political leanings really do not have any bearing on my whimsical presidential campaign. And so I have a lot of supporters that support what I do because they enjoy it and they find it entertaining and think it's funny and a necessary thing to be happening. But they can, totally disagree with me personally. But it doesn't matter. I believe that we can get along and disagree. And so that's a big part of what I do too, is sort of bridging this divide.
Now, with a lot of people have said with Senator Clinton's campaign that she flip-flops a lot of what she says and what she stands for and stuff. You seem to have stayed pretty steadfast in what you stand for, what you believe in, ridiculous or not, you stand in it. Do you believe that she? What do you think would happen if you were able to debate with Senator Clinton?
I don't know. I think I'd mop the floor with her. I'm a pretty hard opponent to debate with because ultimately everything comes back around to zombies and ponies, and it's very hard to defeat me.
I do like the zombie approach because you can't argue with zombies.
No, so true. Let's see. Oh, it's 8. Oh, geez, I should probably go. I'm looking at the clock here.
Yeah.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. I think I should probably go.
That is perfectly fine. Thank you very much for being on with us. It was a pleasure.
The time flew right by. I didn't even realize
that
we were like an hour into it. Oh, my goodness. Cool. Hey, it was great meeting you guys. Perhaps we can get together sometime. Send me a link so I can post the show, if you will. I'm Vermin Supreme on Facebook, at Vermin Supreme at Twitter. WhoIsVerminSupreme.com is the movie. VerminSupremeStickers.com is the stickers. Got the book coming out, Vermin Supreme for Overlord of Planet Earth on Facebook, and all sorts of other stuff. Yeah. Ha ha ha. So
well, send your wife a thank you.
My imaginary empire is vast.
Yes. Thank your wife for sharing you with us, and we'll let you get back to her.
Indeed. Thank you very much. She's a saint. She's a very patient person, and she definitely puts up with my nonsense. And I live a charmed life. Thank you very much. Take care.
Honored having you on. Thank you.
All right. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Well, that was the one, the only Vermin Supreme. That guy is quite the character.
It is.
Did I not tell you?
That is an all-time first for the Debunker Boys presidential campaign or candidate on the show. So
I think that was a first for the entire URN network.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you watch that guy's video for the first time, you're like, this guy is a nut off the street that just, is coming up. But, he is I don't want to say the smartest man in the world, but he's runner-up. Quite the character.
So I've got to say, Vermin, if it comes down to some of the candidates, I'm writing you in definitely. That's all.
Like I've been saying, he's got my vote.
Well,
this was very educational, very informative, very good guy. This was a heck of a show. So thank you to all of our listeners for sticking with us. And make sure to look up Vermin Supreme on the multiple media platforms. I can't even begin to recite them off again. I listed a number of links on my Facebook and on our Debunker Boys page. And as far as his websites go, definitely check them out.
Yeah, say Vermin Supreme 2016 is Overlord movie. Was it Vermin Supreme? Was it Vermin Supreme stickers? I know he mentioned them all, so they're plugged enough. So if you like them, listen back, and we'll try to post links to them all.
All right. Well, this is the Debunker Boys signing off for the night. Who knows what we'll be doing next week? Maybe we'll get Senator Clinton on for her rebuttal.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, everyone have a good night.
Yeah, have a good one, everyone.